Welcome back, staff. Well, I'm going to do my best to keep this speech, this welcome back, very short. But while I'm going to try to keep it short, I also want you to know that I'm not going to cut it too short, because this could just be the biggest speech of my life. And I believe it's the biggest speech of my life because education in our nation is at a crossroads. It's at a crossroads, but yet the comforting part is strong, united communities will thrive. And I got to thinking as I started my day, like I have all summer, I started with a stack of papers. And I'm going to show you these stack of papers. I'm going to explain what each one signifies. This stack right here has 3 in it from this past week. This stack has over 40 in it from this past week. The stack of 3 are people wishing to leave our school district. The stack of over 40 are the people who are enrolling to Monticello School District. That's been important to me all summer. Administration and myself have met with hundreds of families in hopes to make sure they know who we are as a school district, who you are as an employee, and I want you to know we have your backs, we had your backs, and we will continue to have your backs because we believe in you. I'm going to go through this stack of people who are coming to our school district, and I want to highlight a couple reasons why. This person has been enrolled in Monty since 2016. They had a great kindergarten experience, and so they stayed. This person is enrolling in our district because of the C5 program. This person thinks we have more educational opportunities. This person says that we have shopped and we have went to 3 school districts and we chose Monticello. This person, along with 3 other people in this stack, are employees of Monticello. What does that mean to me? Thank you for believing in your colleagues. I just wanted to highlight a few. I wanted to highlight a few because it's what you are doing every day to make our school district a great school district. Now, when I started this presentation, I started with education being at a crossroads. And I just want to ask a question, as I am going to ask a few questions during this short presentation. Why is education at a crossroads right now? Education is at a crossroads right now for 2 obvious reasons. We are going to navigate through a pandemic. We have a call to equity like we've never had before. I'm going to only tell you about my journey in equity because everybody has to have their own journey. It can't be a top-down approach. It's got to come from your hearts. That's when equity becomes your journey. For me, it came 3 years ago when Dr. Faber was our superintendent. He pushed us as administration with a lot of questions. And one day he asked a particular question about some of our smaller cell sizes. So looking at data, looking at small cell sizes, looking at students who are black and why they were performing the way they were. Other students of color and asking questions of why were they performing the way we were. And I remember as an administrator, I'd never really looked at the small cell sizes because the small cell sizes wouldn't seem mathematically to be able to move the large group. And it took me a while to realize what he was getting at. When you say every kid every day, what are you doing to serve every kid every day? And I realized that I needed to go on a journey. I needed to learn a lot about how I served, what practices did I do in my classroom, what traditions did I think were good for kids that maybe were good only for 85% of their kids. And I think as a school system, we can learn a lot from questions that Dr. Faber asked, and I'm going to start bringing a lot of those questions back up. We have 23 people interested in a equity team right now, and I know there's more than that, but 23 are on this team right now, and they're going to lead us. They're going to bring us to spots that we may never have been before. Why? Because we say every kid every day. And I know that in order to meet that, we have to learn and continue to be in that growth mindset. So equity is going to become a focus like it has in our district the last couple years, and we're going to continue on that journey. So that's not new. I was just telling you a little bit about my journey. I hope that your journey becomes more rich and that you are able to learn things this year because of that equity team that we've never learned before. Education is also at a crossroads because we're faced with a pandemic. Schools that thrive are schools that are going to bring a community forth with success. And I know this. Mr. Evenig and I just recently had an opportunity to go to the VFW and present the operating levy, which the school board has announced that they are going to pursue an operating levy on this ballot. When we went into the VFW, Mr. Evenig reminded me of a story about 10 years ago. I wasn't in the story, but he was. And he said, "Olson, why did I say yes? We're going to get killed at the VFW. They're not going to want their taxes raised." We went in a little nervous, but in true Mr. Evenig fashion, he warmed the crowd up with some free gifts and stories of how they've supported music programs and our baseball program and all activities. Lots of smiles started coming on their faces. And then I presented a different way than I had the previous 7 times. I stopped professing and we just started listening. We asked questions, we asked how we can partner deeper, and we started building relationships with these 15 individuals who were representing the VFW executive team. I think the turning moment came when one of the veterans stood up and said, "Mr. Olson, when you were at Pinewood, I got to watch 10 years of the best Veterans Day program that maybe was ever in the nation." That wasn't me putting that program together. That was our teachers. That was, our students, all of us, obviously all the veterans coming together to put together a community program. And I know I've seen every building's Veterans Day program now, and everything that you guys are doing to build community is amazing. And that's what it takes. It takes those relationships. And so while we serve through a pandemic, we're going to do 4 steps. Number 1, we're going to keep it simple. Number 2, we're going to build relationships even deeper. And number 3 is we're going to keep people safe. And some of you might say, why is Olson picking safety as 3rd? I'm not going to pick safety as 3rd. It would be my number 1. But if we don't have relationships and trust, safety won't matter. And so relationships, keep it simple, and keep people safe are the first 3. And if you were keeping real close attention, you would say, well, Olson, you said 4, right? What's the 4th? The 4th is the one that, as the summer has progressed, I realized that we had an opportunity, and the opportunity was right in front of us, and we had to seize that opportunity. And it was an opportunity to redefine ourselves a little bit. Not redefine ourselves away from our 4 strategic priorities, but redefining ourselves within those to make sure that we're listening to parents and being ready to address their needs so that we keep our enrollment going. Remember these papers? Keeping our enrollment going has been a key focus that I have had on my mind all summer long. And it needs to be a key focus that we all have on our minds every day moving forward. I think we've been in a state where we haven't thought about the marketing, and we haven't thought about your actions in the classroom and what that does to keep enrollment here. But now, as businesses are redefining themselves, education is also redefining themselves. The strong will thrive. The ones who don't change or go back to the old ways because that's what they knew or that's what might have been easier, they won't thrive. School districts will lose hundreds of kids some years, and if they don't change, they will lose hundreds of kids the next year until that school district is no more. That's not a fallacy. That's not Olson thinking something that couldn't happen. that school district's putting in their budget that they were going to lose 100 to 150 students this year. Lots of our neighboring districts put that into their forecast. We didn't put that many because I vowed to the school district that we were going to take control of our checkbook. We were going to take control of our enrollment. I've brought that promise so far to pretty good fruition. Our enrollment seems to be right where we needed it. We put 50 in our budget of potentially losing, and as of yesterday, we had not lost that many students overall of what was projected at this time. I know we still have another week to go, so I'm knocking on wood, I'm knocking on anything I can, because it's so important for me to be a person of my word so that we can give you the opportunities that you deserve in your school district to teach and work and send your kids to. So innovation, we're redefining ourselves a little bit, but just within our strategic priorities. So how did we do that this summer? We did that with a nature-based classroom, but thank goodness for some amazing teachers who are taking that program on, and leaders, principal leaders, and curriculum directors and technology directors. They really talked to me about slowing down. We could have put about 250 students in that program, but instead we deducted that and tried to put both of our sites in a close area. Great foresight by those teacher and principal leaders. Starting small, keeping it simple, establishing it, and then potentially growing it in the next year. That 50-50 classroom, obviously the 50-50 classroom became something of a hot topic in our community. And it also came a hot topic with you as teachers. Teachers heard about it in the middle school and high school and started texting me, emailing me, can we do it up here? Absolutely. Think of ways to use your essential standards, get rid of the fluff, stick with the essential standards, and make learning the priority. And so as I look at my third point within how are we being innovative, the last innovation piece really becomes one that I am asking everybody to take as their priority in their heart this year. And that's to do what you can do to keep it simple, build relationships, and put forth the best instruction, or the best, whatever your role is. If it's the best food, if it's the best maintenance, if it's the best custodial responsibilities, if it's the best para assistants and para educators, whatever your role is, our secretary staff, our principals, our teachers, whatever your role is, do it to the best of your ability. And be willing to look in the mirror, just as we are in our equity journey, and figure out what we need to grow, and ask ourselves that same question when it comes to instruction or when it comes to our position. What can we do to grow? So when the community comes into our school, they see something that they're proud of, they feel something that they're proud of, they hear something that they're proud of. That's innovation. Innovation doesn't have to be a 50-50 classroom or an outdoor classroom. What everybody does all year long is the innovation that we need. I had your backs all summer long. I told you that already once. I answered over hundreds of emails. Parents saying that it can't be the way it was in the spring. And I said, it won't be. I know who our people are. We did what we had to do to survive. And we did it pretty well. But we have a different level. And our teachers will go to that level. Our support employee groups will go to that level. Customer service is our game, and we will make it something that we're proud of. And so when you think of innovation as the fourth thing, don't think of it as Olson's going to go all over the board and going to keep bringing in new things. We're not. We're going to do what we do, but do it the best around. And when we add something, we're going to add it slow. When something doesn't work, we're going to get rid of it. When something works, we're going to enhance and build. That's what the free market system is all about. Parents want choice. They are shopping right now. And I've heard for decades, I've heard former superintendents, I've heard people I've looked up to, I've heard guest speakers, authors, leaders across this nation say education is at a crisis. I've heard people say Minnesota education is at a crisis because we don't serve students of color very well. I've heard these things. You've heard these things. It hurts because we do know that when we come to school, we come to our place of employment because we want to serve. And now I want to tell everybody that if we do this together, we have an opportunity to get rid of the critics. Because even if every other place in education is at a mode of crisis, Monticello doesn't have to be. And they won't lump us into those conversations if we define ourselves. And I say this, and I can prove it. Parents brought their kids back to our school district this year because they realize how hard your job is to educate and to care for kids. And our enrollment looks like it's going to stay within that range that we needed it to stay. That means they came back because of what you did before, and they came back in the promise that they know we can be better. And that is going to be what we will do this year. We will keep it simple, and we will do everything to the best of our ability, and that's what's going to keep our enrollment. That's going to attract people. That's what's going to take control of our checkbook. We got this. And so I want you to think of a couple closing questions. How do you plan on coming back to work to serve the students? And then what do you need from your administration? Because those two have to go together. As you come back, you have to be ready to serve with your whole heart. If you're not ready to serve with your whole heart, we have to know that so we can find what you need. I know there's a lot of people saying things across our nation about education and the big push to get back, and the big there's some political discrepancies going on right now. We don't have to have that here. What we have to have here is all of our people working together, serving Monticello School District, Monticello students, and every student who comes here on an open enrollment paperwork form. I am proud to be the superintendent of Monticello Schools because I am proud to serve. My wife will tell you I can't fix much at home, so there's not a lot of other jobs I probably could do, maybe a chef. But what I do love to do is I love to serve. And I hope that you understand that because it comes from my heart. Let's make 2020-21 a year to remember for all the right reasons. We will serve through a pandemic, and we will ring the bell to our call to equity and our action to the best instruction we can deliver no matter what method. Thanks.